Hi folks, welcome back to the IB&Andy Fishing channel. I hope you're doing really well. Please don't forget, if you're new to the channel, to hit that subs button. That way you'll be kept in touch with all the news, reviews, fishing and the other stuff that IB and I get up to in this little corner of the internet. If you're already a subscriber, thank you very much for joining us again. So I've just finished a session actually. I didn't record an intro when I got here today because there were two reasons really. First off, I was really late and just wanted to crack on, and secondly, I wasn't expecting much to come of this. So I just kind of cracked on with it without really thinking about what I was filming. I've come out today to do some canal perch fishing, something I haven't done in ages. Part of the reason for this is that we're in the middle of some terrible flooding here in Derbyshire. I think most of the country is absolutely getting hammered on with rain at the moment, but it's really bad around here. There's nothing fishable in terms of running water. So I'm having to look for other options, and I haven't done some canal perch fishing in a while, so I was desperate to come out and try and catch a few perch. It looked like I had a window here of about 4 hours. The weather forecast was saying there was going to be no wind and no rain between about midday and 4 o'clock. And as you're going to see, that was total rubbish because it's 3 o'clock now and it's absolutely tipping it down out there. I've got pretty soaked. I've turned up with two different rigs. I've got a 0 to 7 gram, very, very light rod for perhaps bouncing around some micro jigs and stuff like that, or as it turned out, doing a little bit of netting. And I've got a slightly heavier rod, 3 to 12, 3 to 14. I bought that with me if I wanted to do some heavier cheb in, some crankbait in, some spinning. As it went, I used that exclusively actually on a Carolina rig, which I really like in the winter. It's nice, delicate presentation, and there's no weight for the fish to feel. So if they're biting softly, actually can be a real good one, the Carolina. But it wasn't that one that did the business, it was another rig. I will say this is the first time I've ever been to this stretch of canal. It's a brand new ticket, it's a brand new water, I've never seen it before, I don't even really know where I am. So there's another reason why I wasn't too fussed about making a big intro and starting filming and stuff. I just kind of cracked on and got on with it, and as you'll see pretty soon, we found a few fish fairly early. Righty, so it's always nice when the first place you come to is a proper feature, and we've got a really nice bridge here, lovely narrow channel. I've gone for that very lightweight rod to start with the 2 gram cheb. And I've just put a little 3D fry on there on a worm hook, kind of sideways rigged it. I'm just going to fish this really, really slowly, kind of up against the edges of this bridge on the lighter rod. Just want to bite to start with. You know what it's like when you come somewhere new. I just want to bite, I just want to feel a take. Make sure I feel like I'm in the game. Watching that braid like a hawk. There's a bit of a breeze going up and down the canal, but it's not too bad. Actually, that water's not quite as coloured as I thought it was. It looked pretty muddy, but I could see that about 2 feet below the surface as I was bringing it back up then. That's not quite as muddy as I thought. Stick with this brighter colour to start with, particularly under the bridge, but yeah, maybe it's not quite as muddy as it looks at first sight. Okay, so I'm probably a dozen casts or so in now. I've not had anything that I could obviously say was a take. A couple of little bumps, but I'm fishing very low to the deck, so I'm expecting to make contact with stuff that isn't a fish. Nothing obvious just yet. Starting to think about that second rod, the slightly heavier rod. Maybe a creature bait or something down there, something slightly bigger, a bit more profile, get it seen. Okay, so first change, I've gone for a creature bait. That's one of the fox crayfish that I've rigged weedless on a Carolina rig. I really like a Carolina during the winter because it takes all the weight away from the bait. So any fish that are shy biting, or short takes or nips and stuff like that, is more likely to get inhaled than it would be if that weight was directly on the bait. So good winter presentation, something you can fish really slowly, loads of natural movement. I've gone for that bright pink just because I just think it looks cool. So it's on the heavy rod. This is a 3 to 14. There's plenty of hook set power on that weedless lure. Nice and sensitive. We'll give this a run through. We'll give this a dozen chucks or so. If this doesn't work, I might try the Ned on the lighter rod, and if that doesn't work, maybe we move to the other side of the bridge. Oh, that was a take. That was definitely a take, no doubt about it. Oh, how have I missed that? Interesting to see if anything follows this up at the end of the retrieve. Let's have a look. No follow. I have got a leaf on there, but what I had was definitely a take. Hook exposed nicely, it did its job. I think I got a little bit unlucky there. Let's try this again. Oh, that was another tap. Should be striking at those, that was just a tap. And again, another little tap. Okay, definitely interested in the change of lure. I'm going to keep throwing this under this bridge for the moment. Just need to hold my nerve a little bit on those takes. A couple of taps, I'm probably moving it no more than a foot or so with these taps, and then 3 or 4 second pause after each one. I'm not absolutely dead crawling it, but I'm certainly not ripping it back. Righty, last rig to try under this bridge. I've actually, even though I really don't enjoy fishing, I've actually gone for a Ned. That's finesse TRD in the deal colour. I think it's a 1.2 head. It's the lightest one I've got. I'm fairly sure it's a 1.2. And we'll just nudge this along for, again, a dozen or so casts. See if we can draw any takes on this. I didn't get any more interest on that crayfish. Got walloped once, but that was about it after that. I'm going to fish this slower. I'm going to fish this slower than how I fished the other 2 baits. Just nice long pauses. Oh, there's a fish. Oh, take straight away. I'm going to fish this with nice long pauses in between the taps. Try and keep the nice tight line on it. That's a tap immediately. That was a good solid take. Oh, it's another take. Got him. There's a fish. Fine. Oh, he's off. Ah, oh, felt like a reasonable fish as well. Finally managed to hit one of them. Ah, dang it. Gonna keep throwing this under there. There's clearly a couple of fish under this bridge. It's all about keeping the line as tight as possible in between the lure and the rod tip. Getting lots of plucks and nips and nudges. Not much that I can strike at in truth, but every cast I'm getting some kind of interest on this Ned rig. Righty, so I've just moved up to the other end of the bridge. Rationale behind it is that most of the takes I've got have been fairly early in the retrieve, which suggests that they're more at this end than they are down at the end that we're stood at. But I'm actually going to leave this bit alone for a couple of minutes and just fish underneath this tree, and there's a bit of a root ball over there I want to have a fish towards. Just rest this bit on the right hand side for 5 minutes. Fish towards some slightly different water. There's a cracking looking root ball over there. It looks like a tackle graveyard, but also looks like the kind of place where there should be fish. Still with that Ned. I'm not going to change that just yet because it's got more takes than everything else. Turned into a right Ned noddy. But I just want to fish. I just want to get a fish in the net. It's been a while since I've done this, as I said at the start, so just be nice to get off to a decent start. Hasn't taken long for it to start raining again, obviously. There's a fish. Finally. Finally managed to hit one. What have we got? That's a little tiny little pike. Not what we've come here for, so no wonder it hits it. You know what, funny enough, he's not actually hooked. There's no hook in him at all. He's just got his teeth tangled up in the bait. Little jackadoodle. It's a fish, counts. May not be the perch we were after, but it's a fish. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing here. Getting takes. I've had a couple of very, very slight taps in this spot on the Neds. I'm not going to change from that just yet. Okay, so I'm just switching back to the other rod, the crayfish on the Carolina rig, just for 5 minutes. I've resisted throwing any casts underneath the bridge yet with the Ned rig. I just want to make sure that's properly rested. I've been throwing a few to the left though, and what I've noticed is I'm bringing back quite a lot of stuff. Exposed hook there is catching leaves, catching the bottom, pretty masked hook points quite a lot of the time. It's affecting the presentation, whereas this Carolina, because the weight is away from the lure, it's much, much better over this sort of ground. Okay, that hasn't worked out with the crayfish, so we'll go for the bingo spot. We'll start towing underneath the bridge with this Ned again. Let's hit that far bank. This will be interesting. It's had maybe 10 minutes without a bait going through there, so I see I've had quite a number of takes under here. Didn't make contact with a couple of them, so just wondering if I might have upset the shoal a little bit earlier. Oh, there's a fish. Wow. Oh, it's a big perch as well. Okay, so I initially thought that this was a snag and actually walked out a shot to try and shake it off. It's not, it's a decent perch. I literally tried to shake it off. I'm convinced I was in a snag when I first had contact there, and that actually this fish has just picked this up after the fact. Oh, it's a good fish. It's a really nice perch. I thought I was getting decent hits under there. Yeah, he's in the net. That is a good fish. God, I thought there were a few fish down there, but I was not expecting one of these. I've just given it a measure on the map. It's gone 44 centimetres. That is an absolute tank. What a fish. Yes. On the Ned. I hate nedding, but I like it a little bit more now. So I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what happened there. I'm absolutely certain though that at the point where I was stuck, I was genuinely stuck and I hadn't just hooked a fish and tried to shake it. Oh, I'll take straight away. Next cast. What have we got this time? What's this? Is that a Z? It is, it's a little zander. That is all three species in the first half an hour in one spot. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't even know if there was any zander in here, to be honest. Come on, bud. Oh, Wrigley. I'm not going to retain him. We'll get him straight back. You'll see here, I have just retained that perch in the net. It'll just be for 5 minutes, just in case he's in amongst a shoal. He's absolutely fine down there. He's kicking away. Oh, what a start to a new venue this is. 3 species, literally less than an hour's fishing. I'll take this any day. I was just about to say, I'm convinced that on that previous cast, I wasn't trying to shake that fish off. I think what happened there is I possibly found a snag, and as I've come off the snag, I think that's when I got the take, because I had tight line on that thing for like full 10 seconds before I started to kind of shake it off. I'd like to think I'd have noticed earlier than that if it was a fish, and there was nothing particularly obvious. So I'm going to say that I wasn't stupid there, even though it didn't look great. I'm convinced that that fish wasn't the thing that I thought I was stuck on the bottom. At 44 centimetres, that is one of my bigger canal perch as well. In fact, it could well be the biggest. I haven't got any scales with me. You guys know I'm not much of a weigher when it comes to fish, but I reckon that's probably my canal PB. Now obviously that's not saying much, it's not a huge fish, but I'm thrilled with that. Just want to make sure he hasn't got any mates down there. Right, I'm pretty sure that's a snag. It hasn't moved yet. Right, we'll go and get that one off. It's in exactly the same place as that fish was. Yeah, there we go. This time it's a snag. Okay, let's get this guy back. I've made probably another dozen or so casts there. No more fish. But it doesn't matter too much because we've got one of these. That's as much as I wanted out of today. Oh, it's a good fish. Trying to get him out with one hand is going to be a pain. And if I can lip him just out the net. Ooh. That is a quality perch. Look at that. That's what we want, and he's super strong. Sick! Okay, so I moved away from the bridge in the end just to have a bit of an explore a bit further upstream, and I haven't had to come very far to find somewhere that looks fishy. It's a lovely area here where the canal narrows right up. There's a little bridge, it looks like it goes over a little brook or a river. And it just narrows nicely here, so there'll be more depth. There's a bit of structure obviously. This looks fishy water. Stuck with the Ned for the moment. I can't see any reason to change that, to be honest. It's definitely got more takes than everything else, and it's put all 3 fish in the net as well. Not going to fish it much differently to how I was before either, just slow kind of tickling along the riverbed. The riverbed, it's because I've got a river in front of me, the canal, on the canal bed. Just teasing it along. Right, let's make sure that's a snag. That was a snag. I'm out of it now. I'm a bit conscious of that now. Here comes that rain again. So much for my 3-hour window where it's not going to rain. Hopefully this isn't going to be too bad. Oh, there's a fish. What have we got here? Another perch. Right down the edge. It's not as big as the first one, but we're going to slip the net under him anyway. Yeah, that's cool. Just as that rain started to trickle a little bit, just snuck a little perch out. Let's lift you up and have a look. That's nice. Good attitude as well. Big dorsal fin, nice bright colours. Whack that Ned. Yes, please. Sweet. Okay, we'll try the one down the edge again. That was the first one I'd thrown down the sides here. And first cast, it found us a fish. And try and keep facing in that direction for the moment, because if I face the other direction, we're going to get a camera lens full of water. So we'll keep throwing them in this direction for the time being, but as soon as that rain stops, I definitely want to throw some into where this canal narrows up just to my left. Right, so first couple of spots down, and that 4 fish in total. I mean, I'm not exactly slaying them out, but I've done a little bit better than I expected given the weather, given that I haven't done this in a while. I'm actually pretty happy with that, and to catch what I think is almost certainly a canal PB, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. I've come up to a bridge that I've just spent maybe 10 minutes hopping this net around at. I've not had a touch, I've not had a tap, and I'm pretty sure this is my kind of beat boundary. This is the end of my fishable water. So I'm going to have to head back the other way and have a look for somewhere new. Let's keep moving. The sun's actually just come out for the first time in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We've got a little bit of a rainbow. We'll keep moving, go and find some more fish, find some more cool spots, and hopefully we'll get the net wet again before the end of the day. Righty, so in truth guys, I've done quite a lot of walking in the last 45 minutes and not really much fishing. I've had a few casts here and there, but not much in truth. I've done very, very little in the way of actually putting baits in the water. I really wanted to come and have a look at this place and figure out what it's like. I found a lot of water that were probably good for kind of dibbling and keeping really mobile. Not a whole lot in the way of features other than the 3 that I've fished. And as you can see, I am back at one of those. Decided to come back to the bridge where I started because, well, I've got about 45 minutes worth of light left, and there's no doubt about it, I've had way more takes here than anywhere else. And with not much time left, to be honest, I'd quite like to catch another fish or 2. I know it's probably not going to make the most interesting vlog because I've essentially only fished 3 or 4 places all day, but I just want to get that net wet. Another once or twice would be really nice. I've got the Ned on still, obviously. I think that's a no-brainer given how it's fished so far today. Got the other rod still set up with that creature bait, and that's definitely going to get a swim at some point, but there's no way I'm going to not pop this Ned under here a little bit more. Just wonder if I've started to fish this a little bit quickly. Compared to how I was fishing it before, I reckon that's probably coming back to me a little bit faster. Perhaps just need to slow down a little bit here. You would have thought that if they were going to come out and feed as the light drops, they would start to think about switching on about now, because it really has got a lot darker in the last half an hour or so. Okay, come on Andy, one more fish, you can do this. Just want one more fish. Again, I've gone for that Ned first. Just kind of tickling it along the deck, trying to keep in contact with it. It's had some very, very delicate knocks, as well as the couple of thumps that I've had some real delicate taps today. Okay, one last flip with this Carolina. It's getting cold, it's getting dark. That rain hasn't stopped now for about 20 minutes. Doesn't feel like particularly great predator fishing conditions anymore. And that was about that, folks. I probably got about 2.5, maybe it wasn't quite 3 hours fishing in there before the weather started, and it's still going now. It's taking me about 20 minutes to get back to the car, get all the stuff in, get the kit off. It's still raining out there now. It's not going to stop. The wind's absolutely howling, and that is definitely the end of the day. A bit of a game of 2 halves there, really. First 90 minutes, I was getting bites, I was getting takes, I caught some fish. That second 90 minutes, granted, I didn't do anywhere near as much fishing or spend as much time with the bait in the water, but I barely had a touch, literally barely had a tap in the second half of the day. My feeling is that's probably because that weather got a little bit wilder, a bit more wet, a bit more inconsistent. The temperature really dropped actually in the last hour particularly, and it felt like a very different day to what it did when I arrived. So I probably caught those fish just in time at the start of the day. If I'd got here half an hour later, who knows, maybe it wouldn't have been anywhere near as productive a session as it was. Don't get me wrong, only 4 fish. It's not going to go down as one of YouTube's greatest ever videos. But if at the start of the day you just said, look, you're going to catch 4 fish, you're going to get 3 different species, and one of them is going to be a potential canal PB, I'd have probably taken that, given that I've never been here before. Absolutely thrilled to get that big perch. The other fish were a bonus, really. That was the one fish that I came here to try and catch, was a quality perch. So to tick that one off at the first visit on a new venue, I'm pretty chuffed with that. For someone who doesn't like netting, I've basically only done that on that lighter rod all day. I'd be pretty bonkers not to, because it was working. There is a little bit of me that looks back and thinks, well, it wasn't working for the second half of the day, so could I have changed it? Should I have gone smaller? Should I have gone lighter? Probably the answer is yes, but I was quite enjoying fishing the Ned. It's not something I do lots of because I don't really enjoy it. So it's quite nice actually to get stuck in with a technique that is still reasonably alien to me, try and make it work. Short and sweet though today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe you've got something from it. Let me know how your canal fishing has gone in the last couple of weeks. I haven't done any in ages, so I'm fairly happy just to have turned up and caught anything, let alone a really, really nice perch. Do let me know if you'd have done anything different. As you guys know, I'm always an open book, always open to listening to new ideas and new stuff. So let me know what you'd have done. Would you have stuck it out with a Ned like I did? Would you have chopped and changed a little bit more like I would usually do in truth? Did I do it right? Did I do it wrong? Let me know in the comments section. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys again soon for some more fishing and stuff. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.